So it's finally here, the new HomePod Mini. Man, I've been waiting on this thing for a long time. This is Apple's new $99 smart speaker. It's gonna be a fun one. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go. Yo, what's up guys? Thanks so much for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shane, and on this channel, I'm building an easy smart home using HomeKit with new videos released every Sunday right here. All right, the HomePod Mini. I'm really seeing the HomePod Mini as three things: a speaker, a voice assistant, and a smart home hub. And I want to talk more in depth about those three things. I'll give you some examples, and then I'll wrap it all up with my overall thoughts. Now also, I'll put chapter titles and time codes down below if you want to skip around to any particular part of this video. Today's video is sponsored by Trend Micro. Their home network security station lets you manage all of your devices, including your smart home devices, from anywhere, and protect all of those devices from viruses, hackers, and vulnerabilities. It also gives you access to strong parental controls and a ton of other awesome features. I've been using this thing in my smart home setup for over a year now, and it has really come in handy for me personally. I'll put a link for more information as well as a discount code down below, so check that out, and thanks to Trend Micro for sponsoring today's video. Let's take this out of the box, show you what's inside, and set it up. Okay, so I'm gonna take any, mini, miny, mo. Let's go with this one right here. All right, let's see what's inside. All right. Now, as I said, this is $99, so very affordable smart home hub and speaker. Come on. HomePod Mini. Been waiting on this bad boy for a long time. Okay, so this is 3.3 inches tall, 3.9 inches wide. Most people that get this in their hands say it's a lot smaller than they thought it would be, and I'm definitely one of those as well. It's about the size of a softball. So let's see what else we have in here. Our documentation, one sticker. We have our 20-watt power adapter here. It weighs less than a pound, 3/4 of a pound actually to be exact, and as you can see, it comes in the white or the space gray option here. Has this nice braided cord ending with the USB-C on this side, and we got our 20-watt power adapter right there. The cord matches the HomePod, so if you get the space gray, it has a space gray, black, whatever, cord. The only thing is that the power adapter is still white, so even if you get the space gray version, the cord and everything will match, but it has the white power adapter. Kind of wish it was a black one, but you know, ideally you'll be hiding this behind furniture or something anyways. The bottom here we have our Apple logo. Has the nice mesh fabric that we're used to from the original HomePod. Looks very similar to that. Now let me plug it in and let's set it up real quick. All right, we got it plugged in. Now if you take a look at my phone, immediately HomePod Mini pops up. Part of that Apple magic right there. We just tap setup. So this one's gonna end up in my bedroom, so I'm gonna put it there. It's gonna ask us about personal request. Use Siri on HomePod to access your messages, reminders, calendars, events, and more. Yes, we're going to want that. Siri for everyone. It's going to tell us Siri can recognize the voices of each person in the home. We're going to hit continue. It's going to use our accounts, transfer settings. Now to pair it. And there you go. That's the setup process. But man, it just doesn't get any easier than that. There we go, all done. And my HomePod is ready. All right, so we got it all set up. Now let's see how it sounds. And to do that, I'm gonna show you one of my favorite features, which is called Handoff. Play it on my phone. Handoff. Check it out. See the volume level. Alright, so the sound is pretty good. It sounds great to be so small. It's got this nice little touch display up here. So tap once to play, double tap, we'll skip ahead. Triple tap, we'll rewind. Tap and hold, we'll play Siri. What's the weather today?
It's currently clear and 64 degrees. Today's high will be 70 degrees, and the low will be 50.
There you go. Now, one thing I will point out, the differences between the white and the space gray version. The space gray versions, actually have one right here, picks up fingerprints a lot more than the white version from what I can tell so far. So something to keep in mind there. You know, you can wipe them down, but you do see fingerprints a lot more on the space gray version. Now a little bit more about this. It does support 2.4 and 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, and Thread, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a minute. And it's equipped with a U1 chip for proximity controls, which is coming later this year. What this will do is allow for an even better handoff experience like what I just did, but it's going to get better. Imagine like a magnetic type of feedback as you get closer to the HomePod. That's going to be pretty cool, so I'm excited to see that in action as well. So how is the sound? Well, thanks to the Apple S5 chip and what's called computational audio, this thing does sound really great for its size. I'll probably say that a few times, you know, because I did get a few of you wanting to compare the sound to like a Sonos or even the original HomePod, and I will talk a little bit about that, but you can't really compare the sound quality. I mean, it is 3.5 inches tall and only $99. So it's definitely not going to sound as good as, you know, a speaker that's 3 times the size and cost. It does have a very full sound with that 360 degree audio that sounds good from every angle, so no matter where you're at in the room, it's going to sound really good. Again, for its size, it sounds great. You can turn this thing up as high as it'll go and you won't hear any distortion, which is pretty incredible. I think it's more than enough for a small to medium sized room, unless you're just trying to really blast it. Now, if you have a huge living room or a huge media room or something, and you really want that great audio experience, probably not going to be enough for that, but I think it's going to be good for most smaller to medium-sized rooms. Now, you can, of course, pair 2 of these together as a stereo pair. You can also use these for multi-room audio, which is really awesome. Stay tuned because I'm going to show you a demo of that real soon when we start talking about the voice assistant capabilities. But for now, I'm going to play a little bit of music. I'm going to use the regular HomePod as well and just show you so you can hopefully compare. I know it's a little hard, you know, when you're watching this through a video because there's YouTube compression, and depending on what kind of devices you're listening to this video on, it may vary, but hopefully this will give you kind of a good idea of how it sounds. So let's play one HomePod Mini and then we'll play the OG HomePod as well to compare. Okay. Alright, so we got our HomePod Mini here. I'm going to turn it all the way up. Transfer this to the living room.
Just a sec. Now playing in the living room.
Let me turn this all the way up. So the original HomePod is clearly going to be the better speaker, as I mentioned earlier, but let's see how the HomePod Mini stacks up as a stereo pair. Let's bring in my black HomePod Mini here. It's actually really easy to do this. All you have to do is have 2 HomePod Minis in the same room in your Home app, and you can add them as a stereo pair. I'm going to change this kitchen one, and I'm going to put it in the bedroom. Let's see, change the room right here to bedroom. And it's going to immediately ask me if I want to use it as a stereo pair, and I'll hit yes. And now I can choose left and right. Okay, so for me, I'm going to want to switch that. Now let's try it. Left, right. There's my stereo pair. And that's it. It's all configured as a stereo pair. You'll see it right here. And if I play something, alright, so here's that track, full blast on the original HomePod. And now same track on the stereo pair. So there you go. It sounds amazing actually in the stereo pair, and surprisingly to me it actually matches the loudness of the original HomePod using just one of these. Of course you use these in stereo pair too, which is really incredible, but it matches the loudness. I feel like I do think you still get a more full sound from the original HomePod even versus the stereo pair, but as far as the loudness goes, it does sound really good. I got it cranked all the way up here and there's no distortion. I do think, again, you get a more full sound with the original HomePod, and you actually notice it a lot with the lower volumes, the bass. I feel like you just have that more kind of complete sound with the original HomePod. But $99 a piece, get two of them as a stereo pair. Not a bad setup right here at all. Now, one person did ask on Instagram if I'd rather have two HomePod Minis or one HomePod OG for listening to music, and I gotta say that is a tough call. Strictly for music, I think I'd probably go with the original HomePod just because it still sounds a little bit more full, both at those high and lower volumes. But when you start to factor in some of the other features that we're gonna discuss here in a second, outside of sound quality alone, I may start leaning more towards the HomePod Minis. Now, for all you Apple TV users out there, you can use a stereo pair of HomePod Minis as output from your Apple TV using AirPlay 2. However, you cannot set them as the default audio output on the Apple TV like you can do with the original HomePods. So that may be another reason to go with the original if that's something you're really into. And another thing, I was really hoping I'd be able to use the Minis as a stereo pair for output to my Mac computer, but unfortunately that doesn't seem to work right now. You can only connect one at a time from a Mac. So I'd love to see that changed, maybe with a future update where we can use a stereo pair, as your computer's audio output would be awesome. So there you go. Overall, they sound great, again, for the size and for the price. If you could find another speaker that is this small that sounds better, I'd be pretty surprised. Now you can use Apple Music, Apple Podcasts with these. And coming soon is third-party music services. Pandora has actually already rolled out support, and it's super easy to set up as your default for the HomePod. Not sure about Spotify still, but other third-party services are expected to roll out later this year, and hopefully we'll see Spotify included in that list. Now let's talk about this thing as a voice assistant. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of the original HomePod, don't need that anymore, and I'm going to actually bring in another HomePod Mini. How's that? Just to make it nice and even. Alright, so now we're going to talk about these as a voice assistant. You can get help and answers to questions including your calendar, sports, stocks, traffic, weather, reminders, send messages, make phone calls, answer phone calls, and the list goes on. Now, Siri can recognize the voices of up to 6 different members on the HomePod Mini and create a personalized experience for each person. So your calendars, messengers, and even the music you hear will be different than your spouse or your kids. You can ask Siri to do a lot of cool things like finding your iPhone and she'll ping your phone for you. Do things like, "Hey Siri, Schedule date night on my calendar for tomorrow at 6 p.m.
Okay, Shane, it's on your calendar for tomorrow from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. The appointment is called date night.
How many ounces are in a cup?
1 cup is 8 fluid ounces.
Now there's also a new feature called your personal update, which will give you news, weather, traffic, calendar events, and reminders. And it's customized for each member of the family. Just say, "Hey Siri, what's my update?"
You'll need to continue on Shane's iPhone.
So as you can see, Siri said you need to continue on your iPhone. This feature is said to come to fully support the HomePod Mini by the end of this year. So hopefully we'll see that soon. But what that'll do is just give you that kind of recap of your weather, news, all that kind of stuff right in the morning. It'll be a great way to start the day. You know, before we had to kind of create these custom Siri shortcuts in order to do something like this, but they're making it a lot easier to get that kind of snapshot, quick glance at everything you need to know to sort of start your day. Now, having a Siri always listening voice assistant in multiple rooms can be really great if you're invested into the Apple ecosystem. This is the main reason why I personally wanted a HomePod Mini product for so long. I can put one in the bedroom, one in the studio. Hell, I might even put one in the kids' rooms. And you can do so much with these, especially if you have more than one. Let me show you some of those things right now. So I went ahead and set these up in different rooms in HomeKit. Hey Siri, play my YouTube playlist in the studio.
Now playing YouTube in the studio.
Hey Siri, move this to the bedroom. Play this everywhere. Stop playing everywhere.
Stop it everywhere.
So you can see that multi-room audio is really going to be pretty awesome with these things spread throughout the house. You can quickly transfer the audio from one room to the other, play it everywhere, stop everywhere, and all that kind of stuff. Now let's try a new feature to the HomePods called Intercom. You may have heard about this. This is a really cool feature, especially if you have multiple HomePods and especially if you have multiple people living in your household, you know, kids, roommates, whatever. This can be a really cool feature. And I'm not going to use the trigger phrase for this because I want to be able to use different ones. So I'm just going to tap and hold, but of course you can use that trigger phrase. Intercom to the bedroom. Hurry up, it's almost time to go.
Okay, intercom to bedroom.
Hurry up, it's almost time to go. Intercom everywhere. Y'all ready? Let's go. Y'all ready? Let's go. And you're hearing them overlap a little bit because they're in the same room, but in real life they won't be. And check that out. I actually just got the intercom on my Apple Watch. Y'all ready? Let's go. And that's what's really awesome about the intercom feature. Not only does it work across your HomePods, but you can set this up real easily to work across all your iOS devices, your iPads, even your AirPods. So you can actually get a hold to everybody. It works with CarPlay as well. Just a really cool feature that you can use with your family or the people that you're living with. So the HomePod Mini uses 4 microphones so we can actually hear the trigger phrase real easily even when music is playing loud. This is one of the things that I've loved about having the original HomePod. In my opinion, it does a much better job at hearing the phrase "Hey Siri" than any of the other Apple devices. And of course, the HomePod Mini is no exception. It doesn't have quite as many microphones as the original HomePod, but it still does a great job of hearing that trigger phrase even when you're across the room or whatever, loud music playing, it doesn't matter. All right, and next let's talk about my favorite part, the smart home. So as you may already know, this does act as a HomeKit hub. And I'm very happy about this because this is now the most affordable option for a HomeKit hub out there. It's now easier than ever to get started building a smart home with HomeKit thanks to the HomePod Mini. A HomeKit hub is needed in order to be able to control your HomeKit smart accessories when you're away from home. It basically does all the processing and the automations and stuff like that for your smart home. Now the HomePod Mini supports Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 5.0, and Thread accessories, as I mentioned earlier. Now there are lots of really exciting benefits of this supporting Thread that I'm not really going to get into too much in this video. Maybe that'll be a topic for another day, but essentially Thread is a low power wireless mesh protocol, and Thread devices will be able to connect directly to the HomePod Mini. Now this means that the HomePod Mini will support new accessories from that Connected Home over IP initiative, which is basically the alliance between Apple, Amazon, Google, and others to establish an open source standard for the smart home. Basically, Apple has future-proofed the HomePod Mini by adding this Thread support, and we're already seeing devices rolling out and pushing out updates to support Thread. Now, that's one thing that this has over the original HomePod. The original HomePods right now do not support Thread. They do not have that capability, whereas these do. Now, I have tested out the Thread capability a little bit, not too much. But I've used the Nanoleaf Essentials A19 bulb. This does support Thread and will connect via Thread to the HomePod Mini, and it works really well. Here, just to give you an idea, I've got the Nanoleaf light bulb in here. Let me show you just how quick this thing will work. All right, so I don't know if you can see that. Check out how fast this is. Look at that. That's pretty impressive. Okay, so again, changing colors, and again, this is using Thread to connect, and you can see just how fast it really is. This is awesome. Here, to give you an idea, I do have another lamp over here. This is a HomeKit lamp. This connects via Wi-Fi to HomeKit, so let me show you the difference. You'll see it comes on. It's not bad. It works good. This one actually kind of fades on and off. But you can see there's a little bit of a delay there. Again, nothing too bad. But versus this, that's just really fast. So again, the support for Thread is really nice. I'm really excited to see where this goes in the future. And once you add more Thread capable devices, you'll just really make your smart home even more reliable as you build that Thread mesh network in your home. And lastly, I did want to touch on privacy because that's always a big factor. You know, one of the reasons I chose HomeKit as the primary platform for my smart home is because it's built to be private and secure and runs locally. Unlike other smart home platforms that require communicating with, outside cloud servers just to perform simple tasks around your house like turn on lights. Now the HomePod Mini is only listening for Hey Siri and recordings, and recordings are not continually sent to a server. And by default, audio recordings are never stored. Requests that you make are tied to a random identifier, not to your Apple ID, so Apple doesn't know who's making the request. Personal requests like notes, reminders, calendars can only be done when your iOS device is connected to the same Wi-Fi. You can also enable or disable personal requests on each individual speaker. Okay, so who is the HomePod Mini for? Well, if you're heavy into the Apple ecosystem, then I think it's really a no-brainer. It's a great product that works seamlessly with the other Apple products. This is a fantastic way to add Siri voice assistants into multiple rooms throughout the house at a much cheaper cost. Now, if you've been wanting to get into the smart home stuff with Apple's HomeKit, then this is a great way to get started. As I said earlier, it can work as your HomeKit hub, and it's actually the most affordable HomeKit hub out there that you can buy. They have made this future-proof, so I think it's a great option for the smart home with that Thread capability and that S1 chip. And if you want to continue learning more about HomeKit and smart home stuff, be sure to subscribe. We talk a lot about HomeKit and Siri shortcuts, automations, all that stuff right here on this channel, and we got new videos coming out every Sunday. If you got something out of this video, please give it a big thumbs up. That is much appreciated and helps out the channel. And if you really want to show some love, consider hitting that join button down below to become a channel member. I got to give another big shout out to all of our current channel members. You guys are awesome. Also, thanks again to Trend Micro for sponsoring today's video. And lastly, thank you guys all for joining me today. Until next time, we'll see y'all later.